An 82-year-old grandmother in Kentucky was offered $26 million this year. And you know what? She said no. Not because she didn't understand the number, it was actually because she understood exactly what that huge number was asking her to give up. I mean, we hear about massive corporate buyouts literally all the time, but this story, it completely stops you right in your tracks because it defies absolutely everything we're taught to think about market value.
Okay, let's dive into this. In this explainer, I'm going to show you the real, honestly incredible story of Ida Huddleston. We're going to break down exactly why her family turned down an offer worth 10 times what their land was actually valued at. And more importantly, we're going to pull out 5 crucial lessons her decision teaches us about what money simply cannot buy back once it's gone. If real stories broken down into actionable insights are your kind of thing, subscribing means you'll catch the very next one.
So, to really wrap our heads around this, we have to look at what was actually on the table. Ida Huddleston and her daughter, Delcia Bear, own and farm land just outside Maysville in Mason County, Kentucky. Listen, this isn't just a piece of real estate. This land has been in their family for more than 200 years. We're talking generations of history, of sweat and survival. But earlier this year, an unnamed major artificial intelligence company, described as a Fortune 100 tech giant, came looking for vast amounts of land to build a massive data center.
The sheer scale of the financial pressure they were put under is just fascinating. To put this into perspective, the local market average for farmland in that county is roughly $6,000 an acre. But the tech giant's offer? It was staggering. Ida Huddleston, who owns 71 acres, was offered roughly $60,000 an acre. That comes out to over $4 million just for her piece. Her daughter Delcia, who owns 463 acres, was offered $48,000 an acre. That put her potential payout above $22 million. You combine those, and that is over $26 million, which is nearly 10 times the local market price.
Now, faced with life-changing, generational wealth like that, Delcia Bear actually admits she briefly signed a sales contract. And it wasn't just the money that motivated her. Fear played a huge part. There was this intense worry about the potential use of eminent domain to force them out, and that was compounded by intense pressure from developers who literally refused to even identify themselves or the company they represented. But you know, something just didn't sit right with the family. They ultimately backed out of the contract entirely. Delcia explained their true purpose on that land, stating they needed to stay and hold and feed a nation. She realized that $26 million meant absolutely nothing in the context of what that land actually represents to their family.
But here's the thing. Their refusal didn't stop the project. The AI giant simply pivoted. The company just went out and found other willing sellers in the area, quickly assembling over 2,000 acres. They successfully filed a zoning request for nearly 28 agricultural parcels, and the local planning commission approved the whole shebang. So, that massive data center, it's still being built. It'll just sit right next door to the Huddleston farm instead of on top of it.
Now, county officials naturally pointed to hundreds of new jobs and over 1,000 construction jobs as a massive upside for the community. But Ida Huddleston rejected that narrative completely, stating, "They call us old stupid farmers, but we're not." She publicly dismissed those promised economic benefits as a scam and fiercely criticized the company's whole approach. She stood her ground, flat out refusing to be swayed by regional economic promises that she fundamentally did not trust.
And this actually illustrates a much larger picture. Let's zoom out for a second, because this is happening nationwide. Communities and individuals are increasingly facing these massive tech land grabs. Take Michigan, for example. A community there voted no against an OpenAI and Oracle data center, only to see construction begin just weeks later anyway. And over in Pennsylvania, an 86-year-old farmer named Mervyn Routabaugh turned down a massive $15 million offer for his 2 farms, simply because he wanted to keep producing food. The Huddlestons are part of this growing trend of regular people drawing a hard line against just incredible sums of money.
It is incredibly easy from the outside for us to frame Ida's choice as just turning down free money. But doing that completely misses the actual trade taking place here. Here is the absolutely crucial point. $26 million is ultimately just a number that changes on a screen in a bank account. But 200 years of family land? Once that is sold, it never comes back. Not at any price. Ida wasn't weighing the offer against her bank balance. She was weighing a pile of cash against an irreplaceable asset that has zero resale value to her family once it is gone.
Moving right along to our 5 lessons on irreplaceable assets.
Our very first lesson is to identify the irreplaceable. Look, you need to determine which of your assets, whether it's your time, your health, your core values, or your family's legacy, actually cannot be bought back long before an offer ever arrives on your desk. Ida Huddleston could make her decision quickly and firmly because she had already settled this in her own mind decades ago. You really need to do that exercise right now before you're the one sitting across the table under immense pressure.
Lesson 2 deals with what we can call the 10x market price illusion. When someone offers you wildly above market value, in this case 10 times what the land was locally worth, you have to recognize that this massive offer is specifically designed to override your better judgment, not to inform it. Recognizing that design doesn't mean you just automatically say no to every great offer, right? It means you must actively separate the shocking size of the number from the fundamental question of whether the trade actually makes sense for your life.
The third lesson is absolutely critical in any negotiation. Pressure is information. The Huddlestons faced unidentified developers, anonymous corporate entities, and vague, looming threats about eminent domain. When you encounter anonymity and tight deadlines in a deal, that is the other side signaling exactly how they expect things to go if you don't move fast. You should always treat pressure to decide quickly as the strongest possible reason to just slow your decision down. Take a breath.
Moving to Lesson 4. Understand that your no might not stop the machine, and you must decide anyway. This is a really tough one. The Huddlestons' refusal didn't stop the AI project. Like we saw, the data center is still being built right next door on 2,000 acres. But here is the massive takeaway for us. Your decision can still be 100% right for you personally, even when it completely fails to change the world around you. You hold your ground for your own integrity, not always to stop the inevitable.
And our fifth and final lesson, flip your framing. Most people evaluate big offers by asking, what do I stand to gain, right? We all do it. But the Huddlestons teach us to measure big offers against what they cost you to lose. You need to flip the framing and ask, what permanently disappears if I say yes? And you can apply that exact question to your career choices, your relationships, and your major investments, not just to real estate.
$26 million is more money than most people will see in several lifetimes combined, but an 82-year-old grandmother looked at that mountain of cash and told a Fortune 100 giant, I don't want your money, I don't need your money. She did it because she inherently understood that some things simply do not come back at any price once they've been sold to the highest bidder.
You know, you don't need 200 years of family land in Kentucky to apply that kind of crystal clear thinking. You just need to know where your own version of that line is drawn ahead of time. If you want more real stories and complex topics broken down cleanly just like this, subscribing to this explainer ensures you won't miss the very next one. So I want to leave you with this final thought, and I'd love to hear your answers down in the comments. What in your life genuinely isn't for sale, no matter the number?